Hello, and welcome to this Halloween concept special, where we'll be discussing a Disney experience called Voodoo Hullaballoo. Starting with the entrance. As we can see, the ride is called Voodoo Hullaballoo, and the entrance is designed to look like Dr. Facier's Voodoo Emporium. This is because Dr. Facier plays a key role in piecing the story together. In its basic form, the experience is a horror maze. Now, attractions with horror aspects don't tend to last long at Disney parks. For this experience though, the horror elements have been removed, and is now a walk-through maze, which could easily coincide with Mickey's not-so-scary Halloween events in the theme parks. Guests move from one room to another, travelling through various Disney worlds, which unite to tell a story that revolves around some of the villains from the animated movies. Guests will visit Notre Dame, the Elephant Boneyard, Agrabah, the Jolly Roger and Atlantica, and will be immersed in colourful environments recreated from the animated films, which bring you face to face with some of Disney's most iconic villains. Think Fantasmic, but in a maze form. Once guests enter the Emporium, they will queue downstairs before heading upstairs into the experience. In this queue, guests will see numerous magical items on display, which are all nods to both the films within this experience and other Disney animated classics. In this experience, guests move between 7 rooms, and the experience lasts approximately 15 minutes. Guests are only able to move on once the door in that scene has opened, which coincides with the scene in that room ending. The guest movement and experience monitoring are controlled by an operator through a control room in the middle of the experience. The room size or number of guests per experience can be easily adjusted. Personally, I would recommend up to 20 guests at a time to ensure that a steady queue time is given without detracting too much from the experience. Once the first scene has finished, a new group of guests will be able to partake in the experience. Earlier I mentioned that guests will be immersed in new environments, and that guests will be brought face to face with iconic Disney villains. In the past, this would have been done through animatronics or acting crews. The use of virtual reality could be a solution to this problem. However, this would cause numerous issues with guests crashing into each other and the rooms as they try to navigate the experience. A more practical solution is use of augmented reality, as demonstrated here through Pokemon Go, which allow objects to be projected to the user without deterring from the background. This means that guests would be able to see each other and where they are going, and won't detract too much from the experience. The augmented reality would be projected through glasses which the guests will pick up at the start of the experience, and each room is designed to look like you have entered a scene from the animated movie. The experience begins with you putting on your glasses as you enter the room and are greeted by Dr. Facier, who has been expecting you. In his casual style, he tricks you into undertaking a tarot reading, where he establishes that you're looking for magic, adventure and to see the world. He convinces you that he's able to help with that, with no tricks involved at all, as he's atoning for his past mistakes, and is a decent man really. A rendition of Friends on the Other Side is performed, before a portal opens to Notre Dame. Once there, you are met by Judge Claude Frollo, who is having lunch with Quasimodo, in order to interrogate him as to where Esmeralda is, like in the movie. He accuses you of being gypsies and using black magic, as he saw you appear from thin air in front of him, and says that you'll be burnt at the stake for this. Before he can act on his plans, a guard bursts in and says they think they found Esmeralda. This distracts Frollo from you as he speaks to the guard. In the meantime, Quasimodo leads you to a door, and using some of Esmeralda's magic she taught him, he hopes he can get right, Quasimodo leads you to a door that takes you somewhere far, far away, the Pridelands. As you walk through the door though, you notice that something is wrong. You are actually transported to the Elephant Boneyard, but at first you don't realise it, as all you can see is red smoke. Then Ed, Shanzi and Bonsai jump scare you by sticking their head out through the red smoke, and going boo, much like they do to Simba and Nala when they fall into the boneyard. They start talking amongst themselves and deciding which guest looks the most tastiest to eat. However, at that moment Scar appears, and after some arguing between them, they agree to leave you alone as you have an important plan to act out, the death of Mufasa. And Scar doesn't reckon you'll last alone 5 minutes here or get very far, so it can eat you when they get back. After they leave, you hear the squash banana being sung, and Rafiki does a mini jump scare. He says you being here disturbs the circle of life, and that you must leave immediately. He says he has learned of a kingdom where humans come from called Agrabah, and opens a portal there. And again, as you enter the portal, something seems wrong. You are transported to the royal palace of Agrabah and are greeted by Jafar, who has returned to wreak revenge, like in Aladdin 2 Return of Jafar. He orders you to bow before him and gets angry when you don't. He goes to use his magic on you when Aladdin enters and begins to fight with Jafar for control of his staff. While this is going on, Aladdin asks the genie to get you out of here, who, in his usual goofy way, begins to try and work out where you're from, whilst everyone else continues to fight Jafar. He works out that you came from somewhere near a pirate ship and are by the water, eventually working out that you're in a Disney park, and opens a portal back to the real world. But again, as you go through it, something seems wrong, and you actually end up on the Jolly Roger, where Captain Hook accuses you of boarding his ship illegally. He sings the elegant Captain Hook song, pointing out that any of you who do not join his crew will walk the plank. But as he's in a good feeling about today, he says that he will also spare you if you disclose to him the location of Peter Pan. At that moment in time, Peter Pan makes his introduction, and the two of them begin to fight. During the fight, Peter talks to Tinkerbell about you, who has no idea where you're from. He suggests that she send you to the mermaids, as they are quite smart and should know where to send you. So Tinkerbell opens a portal to Atlantica. Again, something seems wrong, and you end up in Ursula's lair, who actually knows what's going on, and sings Poor Unfortunate Souls to you. She offers to return you home in order for your soul. As she waves the contract in front of you, King Triton appears and scolds Ursula, not only for bringing humans down to Atlantica, but also taking the voice of his daughter, who is now living with the humans. Disapprovingly, he opens a portal and sends you back home, before trying to resolve the issue with his daughter, as he does in the film. You are transported back to the real world, and you can see Fasir speaking to his friends on the other side, who point out that he's failed his mission and that you are standing behind him. Like in the film, Fasir is mortified and scared, claiming that he's done everything in his power to stop you getting back. There is a reprise of Are You Ready? And Fasir is sucked into the spirit world, and the room goes black. As the lights come on, there is a panel where the spirits were that's rotated and reveals Fasir's tombstone, again just as like the movie. And that is where the experience ends. Guests leave the glasses on the way out so that they're ready for the next guest to use.